I have an important 5G update for you. Any expert on radio frequencies will tell you that 5G frequencies are not healthy or safe for human exposure. Well, it turns out that nothing about 5G is good for us. This video will be a summary of a short but very important article in Activist Post. The link to that article is below the video on YouTube. Remember how they told us that the purpose of 5G is more data, faster data for you and your downloads? That is not the purpose of 5G and never was. The purpose of 5G is instant, real-time surveillance data for the military and central authorities. Only with 5G can they harvest your data with almost no delay whatsoever, and that up-to-the-minute eyes on everything is what it is all about. With mass surveillance, they can see what has happened. With 5G and mass surveillance, they can see what is happening right now. The military, not the telecoms, is controlling the rollout of 5G. 5G does little for telecom companies other than to give them a meme to hype their services. The military is who is excited about 5G as a domestic surveillance platform. The key word here is domestic. Our government is spying on us, not on terrorists, on foreigners or criminals, but all of us. And that is not lawful, but no one seems to be interested in prosecuting criminals if they work for the government. Why do they want to spy on every American? Government and military are entering a very dangerous phase of institutional paranoia, thinking that they have enemies behind every bush. They no longer see themselves as our government protectors. Government and military see themselves as needing to protect themselves from us, the American people. We have been warned of this by Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, and our independent online journalists. Government has developed the notion that it is more important than the public, as suggested by one of their favorite expressions, continuity of government, which represents the idea that government must continue no matter who else must die. We are all suspects to this new paranoid industrial complex. They see you and I, all of us, not as their constituency from whom they derive their authority, but as maverick provocateurs, potential terrorists, criminals, insurgents, and adversaries, to be spied on, arrested, killed, or bullied, but in any case, controlled. It is institutional paranoia that causes government and military now to operate in secret. And people who act in secret can commit crimes. And they are committing crimes, and they know it. And therefore, they are paranoid that people will catch on, and they must now try to keep everything they do secret. And they suspect everyone all the time of potentially finding out what they are doing. As any police officer will tell you, people who hide things are usually guilty. So what kind of crimes are they committing? You name it: drug trafficking, human trafficking, financial crimes, money laundering, bribery, embezzlement. There's no crime that you cannot commit when you are permitted to operate in secret and no one will prosecute you. So they are paranoid for good reason. They're criminals, and they need to spy on you and me and everyone else, because anyone could be the next person to witness one of their crimes or become dissatisfied with government in some way. If government prosecutes a criminal, it's not to reduce crime, it's to reduce the competition. So that domestic mass surveillance means your cell phone, your TV, your security cameras, your computer, your credit cards, your vehicle's new tracking systems, your medical records, your smart meter records, your thermostat, all of it. More personal data than you can even imagine, all watched by algorithms, AI algorithms, and fed to centers where they decide whose house or office they need to raid, who they need to question, arrest, or watch even more closely, whose property they need to confiscate, whose children they need to turn over to CPS. It's all about power, control, enforcement, and money. So this explains why 5G is so important to the military and government. The real-time, full-spectrum mass surveillance network is not possible without 5G. It's not like somebody just discovered that 5G is good for mass surveillance. That is what it was for all along, and that is all it is good for. When have you heard anyone say, boy, I'm sure I'm glad I got this 5G phone. Boy, this new 5G service is really great. If you have 5G service and a 5G phone, you probably don't have anything that you didn't have on 4G. because 5G is not for you. It is to let other people watch you and nothing else. Calling 5G a great new consumer service was just a way to get you to pay for it. If you think that your mobile service carrier is somehow separate from the military-industrial complex, you're a little behind the times. Verizon is collaborating with Lockheed Martin. AT&T is collaborating with Northrop Grumman. T-Mobile is collaborating with General Dynamics Information Technology. Those are all military contractors who feed information to government that would be illegal for government to collect itself. And all those high-level government contractors will be competing to provide the best and most data to their funders and clients, the U.S. military, various government security agencies, law enforcement, and any other government agency that wants real-time surveillance data and AI services to keep tabs on the American public, to constantly assure themselves that you are pro-government, obedient, and compliant, so that if you are not, they can come and deal with you. By the way, in the past, they have defined the word terrorist as a protester, a Christian, a white person, a vegetarian, a constitutionalist, a conservative, a supporter of Antifa or Black Lives Matter, people who access alternative news sources, and people who don't take their vaccination and wear a mask. So from the government's viewpoint, a terrorist is anyone who does not comply with whatever the government tells us to think or do. So just as government seems to be crumbling in its own paranoid meltdown, this new technology of 5G is just appearing to enable the most invasive public surveillance and control that has ever existed. High-resolution behavioral control is coming to your neighborhood, your digital devices, even your currency very soon. It has already been implemented in China. We can try and disconnect, stop using digital and electronic devices, but it's probably now impossible to disconnect from all surveillance systems and lead anything resembling a normal American life. Very soon, everyone will feel the need to be more private, and we will realize we waited too long to tell our government to stop doing what it is doing, to stop funding the corporations that help them do it, stop spying on people, and go back to the purposes that government was created for, which is to protect the rights of private citizens. It is inexcusable for our government, that thing that exists for no reason than to protect and serve us, to administer to us as their enemy, to paint us as criminals, terrorists, and suspects. This is a new and growing problem where government and the people are no longer unified, but are dividing into opposite sides, and government is inventing all kinds of new authorities and purposes for itself. Government may only do what we ask it to do, no more, no less. They work for us. We pay for government. Government and military are not entitled to contrive their own missions. That is our job. In a fascist tyranny, government tells the people what to do. In a democratic constitutional republic, the people tell government what to do. If government is doing anything besides asking us what we want and doing what we want, that is not legitimate government. If it was legitimate, it would not need to operate in secret, it would not need 5G or domestic mass surveillance, and it would not need to treat the American people as its enemy.